difficult right now. It can be hard to keep going, and there are people all over the country who need a bit of a boost. That's why Mental Health Collective are organising a national exchange of kindness by post. Kindness by post is like a giant secret Santa for kindness. You sign up for free to send a message of encouragement to someone you don't know and have someone allocated to send a message of encouragement to you. Thousands of people have taken part in Kindness by Post so far and sent the most incredible cards and letters the length and breadth of the country. Even in these darkest of times, we can reach out to one another with hope. We may be isolated, but we're not alone. Sign up for free at kindnessbypost.org and join us now.
Welcome to the next edition of the Research Sofa. I'm here today with Dr. Amy Pollard, who's the director of the Mental Health Collective.
Hello.
Hi Amy. And today we're going to talk about your research. So I wondered if you could just give us a little overview of the research you've been doing lately in your Kindness by Post initiatives.
Yeah, so Kindness by Post, I suppose it's not strictly speaking a research project. I suppose you could call it action research because we're, at learning and being iterative all the time. And I'm a social scientist, anthropologist by background. So, I kind of always kind of come at things with that kind of mode of inquiry. But yeah, it's a kind of practical project really, where members of the public can sign up at kindnessbypost.org to send a message of goodwill to someone they don't know, and then have someone allocated to send a message in the post to them. So people send usually cards or letters with, encouragement and good vibes, and like often quite imaginative things, like funny things, or even like people were sending tea bags and seeds and little sachets of yeast when everyone was worried about not having any bread to make. And it's kind of like a great big secret Santa for a random act of kindness, where, by taking a sort of leap of faith together and taking a step into the unknown to send something to somebody else, and then we sit there and are curious about whether someone will send something to us. We kind of create a movement for connection and for hope.
And how did you come up with the idea for the initiative?
So it was born, the germ of it was a lived experience thing from myself. So in 2016, I was sectioned and had a big mental health crisis, and was dragged like kicking and screaming like properly out of my home by the police. And there was a big commotion. It was really horrible, really embarrassing, whatever, in the street. And all of our, it was very embarrassing for me, and obviously I was aware that all of our neighbours would have seen. And my mum was saying to me, like, it's just one of those things, don't get hung up on that, people, it doesn't matter what people think, it's fine. But that was not cutting through to me remotely as a message. But then a few days later, one of our neighbours, someone who I didn't know, and I to this day don't know who this was, but somebody posted a card through our door to say, wishing you all the very best, and hope you feel better soon, and all that kind of thing. And it really, really landed with me. Like, it was so interesting how like that message of acceptance and of just goodwill really resonated and really cut through at a time when my nearest and dearest, my mum and others in my life, I saw as completely biased. And I just thought it was really interesting, and it was something to hold on to as well, like a physical thing that I could hold on to. And I put it up in my wall when I was in hospital, and I had it there all through my stay in hospital. And it was a simple thing, but just as a kind of message of acceptance and unconditionalness, I suppose, it felt really, really powerful. And it made me reflect on how actually in our really darkest hour, sometimes the stranger can have a real impact in a way, and can offer something different that loved ones can't offer, and that professionals can't offer either. So it made me think about it. That experience made me reflect on how we could harness the power of strangers in a different way, and how, in this time of sort of digital overload and whatever, maybe a physical card or a letter like has cut through and can offer something else.
Oh, thank you. That's a lovely story about the kindness, that sort of random act of kindness, that the impact
Mm.
it had on you. And I'm sure I took part in your Valentine's by
Oh,
posting,
did you? Oh, wonderful.
and it was just really nice to receive a lovely card with hopeful messages from somebody I'd never met before.
Yeah.
And there's just something very special about it, I think, and
Mm.
there's something very special about what you've created in this movement
Oh,
of
thank you.
people kind of connecting with each other who
Mm.
didn't know nothing of each other, but somehow the words on the card seemed right.
Mm. It's interesting that, isn't it? I think that quite a few people have said that you know, they wouldn't have expected the message to sort of resonate and be meaningful in the way that it did. But sometimes people would say, you know, when it came through my door, like it made me a bit tearful to read that message, and that the words that they said were exactly what I needed to hear at that point. And there was almost a slightly uncanny quality where people find themselves like receiving something that it is that really touches them in the way that they, you know, they probably signed up kind of being a bit like, well, this is a nice idea and I'm happy to do the giving, and if I receive something then I don't mind, or, you know, maybe I will, maybe I won't, it doesn't matter either way. But actually when it does come, people, yeah, there is often a sort of unusual resonance that people don't quite expect. And I'm really curious from a research point of view, I'm really curious what that's about. And you know, I've been kind of playing around with different hypotheses. I think it might be a bit similar to, you know, the universal soldier, like when people have those graves, to,
Yeah.
you know, just one soldier who represents the kind of the universal. I wonder if there's a similar quality to the experience whereby you get one message from like one individual, but somehow it feels like it represents kind of a message from the universe, or a message from, you know, from something broader. I don't know. That's just a sort of idea. But what do you think?
I don't know really. Sometimes we're more connected than we think we are, and that somehow there's that some sort of sense of collectiveness that we don't perceive, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain because it starts to become a bit esoteric, but I think there's something that we are connected to each other in some way.
There is something in Jung, isn't there something in Jungian thought about that, about the kind of collective unconscious and a sense of broader, you know, non-individuated connectedness that is slightly hard to, you know, hard to verify and hard to objectively experiment on, but which comes through in different ways sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to know, but whatever it is, it's very beneficial, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting actually that there isn't, to the best of my knowledge, there isn't a similar project of this kind, which is about sharing messages of goodwill in a kind of secret Santa model for the express purpose of improving mental health. However, there is one other project that's a sort of precursor established by Reddit. Do you know Reddit? They're the kind of, they call themselves the front page of the internet people. So they set up a secret Santa gift exchange that happens at Christmas time, where people send like physical gifts, like often, you know, more expensive. They're spending like $20-30 or something, like sending a present to someone, and it's quite heavily not policed is the wrong word, but basically, you know, you really do have to send the thing, and you get banned from future exchanges if you don't. So it's a different setup to ours, which is much more inclusive of people if they're unwell and they're not able to send their card as intended or whatever. There's no punitive dimension to ours. But the man who set up that gift exchange also has a bipolar diagnosis, same as me, and I thought that was really interesting. So I wonder if there's something about the dimension of life that you can access through hypomania or through those slightly sort of ego transcendent experiences that people with bipolar can go through. Like there's something that lends itself to this line of thought. I don't know, I just thought it was an interesting coincidence, or maybe not a coincidence to me, that he'd come up with quite a similar idea on the basis of, whilst also coming from a similar background to me.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And yeah, I think just such a lovely initiative, really.
Thanks.
And before we end the interview, is there anything else you'd like to say about Kindness by Post? Have you got another initiative coming up, or anything else you'd like to tell us?
Well, we'd be really, I mean, firstly is like, do be part of it. You know, we'd love to have yourselves and your listeners like engaged in other exchanges in the future. If you have other researchers in your network who'd be interested in helping us to evaluate and improve our work, we'd love to work with you. And I personally think there's a case for running an exchange which is designed specifically to work with people with more severe and enduring mental health difficulties, such as myself, and that I'd be interested in crafting a message and designing it particularly to work with our community. So yeah, let's think.
Thanks very much, Amy. And if anybody would like to contact us and hear more about Amy and Amy's research, if you want to email us at ctg-network@york.ac.uk, we can put you in touch. So thanks everyone for listening. Thank you to Amy for coming and sitting on the sofa with us today. Bye everyone.
My pleasure. Bye.